Hi, once again, I'm Peter Sobey, back to talk to you about Rhonda's Team Burpee Challenge coming up May 7th, 2023. That's a Sunday. And I am here with Dr. Alan Thorson. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Of course, you're having me because I'm in his kitchen, and we've gathered in his kitchen to talk about ways to prevent colon cancer, which this event is all about.
It's important to understand that one of the good things, if there's anything good about colon cancer, it's that it's one of those things we can live without. We don't have to have it if we timely treat or get through the right testing to avoid it. But that means being screened. So screening is a test that is done not when you have symptoms, but it's when you feel great. And the reason you start screening isn't because you feel like something is wrong, it's because you reach a certain age. Historically, that's been 50. The new age is 45.
Okay.
We know that at age 45, the risk of developing colon cancer starts to go up high enough that it's a good idea to get screened. The exception being 45 would be if you'd have a family history. So if you had a parent that had, let's say, colon cancer at age 45, then you would want to get screened at 35, because we recommend that you have a screening start 10 years before the youngest person in your family. If you had a family member who developed colon cancer at 35, you should start getting screened at 25. So knowing your family history is really important, and to share that with your doctor so they know what to tell you about when to get screened.
Now, when you do the screening, am I jumping ahead? People worry about colonoscopy, that word.
So
mainly because of the preparation for colonoscopy,
so
right?
Yeah, so there's two things. And we talked about this a little bit before. Yeah, the prep is a big thing. People worry about the prep, and that's because all the jokes and all the history is you have to drink this gallon jug of stuff that doesn't taste that good. Okay, they tried flavoring and all these things, but nowadays we've got much improved preps, and we have what we call low volume preps, where you drink a relatively small, actually quite small amount of stuff, and then you can follow it. You need to drink fluids, but after you drink the stuff, then you get to drink things you like, as long as they're clear. And probably not alcohol wouldn't be a good idea, but other than that, the prep is not nearly as difficult as people used to feel that was. The other fear is, of course, colonoscopy, but really most people are under a sedation, a very mild sedation. Most people remember saying hello to the doctor, and they wake up and saying, when are we going to start? Because there's just nothing there. So you don't have to worry about the colonoscopy. You really shouldn't worry about the prep so much anymore. What you should worry about is, what age should I start getting screened?
That's the big push today.
That's the big push,
I feel like that's the biggest message. You were also telling me that there are other tests now.
Yeah, so if you really have a real fear, some people have a fear of sedation, some people have a fear of the colonoscopy per se, some people feel they don't have time for a colonoscopy because it does take some time. It takes some time for the prep, that's one disadvantage. It takes some time for the examination. A lot of times people take a day off of work for that reason, sometimes part of a day off for the prep also. So that's some extra time that people have to put in to have a colonoscopy. There are home tests, which we call stool tests, that can look for blood in the stool or DNA in the stool. Those tests don't need any prep. They can be done at home, but you have to be aware that if it comes back positive, you need to have a colonoscopy. The idea of the stool test is just finding out if there's any evidence of something going on. And if there is, you have to have a colonoscopy. If you do a positive stool test and don't get a colonoscopy, there's a huge chance you'll have cancer within 5 years. So you don't want to skip that step. The other thing about the stool test, because they're looking for blood in the stool or DNA in the stool, so they're looking for signs that there is something in the colon, maybe a cancer early. So they're good at early detection, which is important because if you do have a cancer and it's detected at an early stage, it's very treatable, and you probably will do very good with that treatment and get over the cancer. Colonoscopy, on the other hand, looks for preventable measures. So it's more about prevention rather than early detection. It can actually prevent a cancer by removing polyps. The polyps are those little silly growths that people hear about that if you leave them in place long enough, potentially could change into a cancer. Usually that takes 5 years or so, or more even. So you have quite a window, which leads us to the other point of difference between a colonoscopy and the stool tests. In order for the stool test to remain viable, you have to do those every year. If you don't do them every year, then you lose the effectiveness of those tests. While a colonoscopy, if it's negative, you only do once every 10 years. Now, if they find polyps, that's a whole different story. It depends upon how many polyps, what size of polyps. You may need a colonoscopy in a year, you may need it in 5 years. There's all kinds of variations in there. So, yeah, there are other tests available, okay?
Yeah.
But, you know, it depends on somebody's, what time they have available, whether they want something preventative or something that is looking for early detection. Most people actually prefer not having a cancer at all, so then the colonoscopy is probably a little better bet for that.
It sounds so complicated.
Oh, don't let me leave you with that impression.
But it's simple.
It is simple. It's very simple.
Do the testing.
Do the testing. Do the test that's right for you, and do it correctly. You know, once a year or once every 10 years, whatever works best.
Well,
And you can change. Let's say that you're working now, you want to do it once, you want to do the stool test, and then you get to a point in your life where you can take more time, do a colonoscopy later. You can change, you can go back and forth. But if you do a colonoscopy, that's another thing we have sometimes confusion about. If you do a colonoscopy and it's negative, there's really no need to do the stool tests in between.
Okay.
Okay, which is sometimes people think, well, I'm going to do the stool test every year anyway, and that's not necessary.
But this is probably, is it one of the more preventable cancers?
Very much so. It's probably the most preventable cancer because we can find the precancerous lesions and remove them. You know, most other screening tests are looking for early detection, kind of like the stool test we talked about, detecting a cancer really early while it's still very treatable and curable. While a colonoscopy about removing these precancerous lesions actually can prevent it. It'd be like, we see that with skin cancer. You can, you know, if you see a dermatologist that has something removed from the skin that's actually a precancerous lesion, that's prevention. Or for cervical cancer, for instance, you can, women having pap smears, sometimes they'll detect abnormal cells and then they can actually treat that to prevent the potential for developing a cancer. But colon cancer being the most common, second most common cancer, if you consider both male and female together, it's actually, because of that, the most preventable.
This is the 10th year for Rhonda's Teen Burpee Challenge.
Awesome thing.
224 burpees.
Yeah, it's awesome.
With a partner.
Thank goodness.
Right? You've done this.
I have done that.
What have you thought about competing in it?
I thought it was awesome. I was glad we were done. But it was a great feeling to know you accomplished that. And it was a great feeling not only because from a physical standpoint, you said, whew, I've done it, okay, with a partner, mind you.
Partner.
Not 224, 112, okay. But then you also know that you've helped support the purpose behind Burpee Challenge, which is to raise funds for the Great Plains Colon Cancer Task Force, which is whose vision, whose mission is to raise awareness about colon cancer and screening to the greater metropolitan area.
So you being a member of the task force, when you hear the dishwasher start.
Yeah, I just heard that. Oh my gosh.
You know what?
Now you know we're in the kitchen.
Hey, we're in the kitchen. But when you hear in the first 9 years, I think we're at $79,000 we've raised. Our goal this year in year 10 is to try to get to that 100 mark. It's quite a chunk of change to get to. How does that make you feel, knowing that there's groups behind, especially CrossFit Hydro, with Justin and his passion to this, attempting to raise that to help your group?
So it's awesome. We really, really, really appreciate that. I think it's a great idea to try to hit that $100,000 mark. And I would just add here, and nobody's told me this, but I believe that if you sign up, register, even if you don't want to do the burpees, there's an opportunity to make a donation to the Burpee Challenge. Yep. When I know that some people who do register will give an added donation, and people who believe in the purpose, believe in the vision and the mission, they can, even if they're not going to do burpees, they can go in and give a donation to help achieve that goal. That's an important goal this year.
And who doesn't want to do burpees?
Hey, I can't imagine anybody not wanting to.
Right? So as part of this, we have to do, it's year 10, so everyone I'm interviewing, I'm doing 10 burpees.
I'm glad you're
with
doing
them.
that. Oh, what are you saying?
No,
here?
as a partner, because it's a partner workout, so we should do 10 burpees together. Now, you can divvy it up any way you want with your partner. You can do 222 and your partner could do 2. That would be rude.
Yeah.
So you can pick 1 burpee and I'll do 9. But are you down for doing burpee, a workout of 10? I don't know how many you want to do. He is retired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
So he might be tired. But should we do some burpees?
Sure, we'll do some burpees.
All right, hold on.
All I can say is that if you see that I can do burpees, you'll know that anybody can do burpees. So
exactly the point is that anybody can do burpees, and if you can't do 224, just do as many as you can in the time frame given, which I think is 20 minutes, but my wife told me it's 12-minute cap, but I'm pretty sure it's 20 minutes.
I'm pretty sure it's 20.
Yeah.
I think it's 20.
Who can get done in 12?
Unless they shorten that, but I think it's 20.
Let's do some burpees. How many are you willing to do of these 10?
Let's see how I go.
Okay.
I'll go. I'm not going to do more than 5 because I want to share equally with you. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Okay.
I'm the guy who but this is Thor's son.
Yeah.
Get it? Thor, yeah. Stand by for the edit because I'm going to pop this camera off. My gimbal's going crazy. Okay, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go
All
first.
right, so with this camera, I'm going to get you in. We're in the doc's kitchen. He's going to find a good spot that anybody can do a burpee.
You want to do it right here?
Yeah, if that works for you.
Are you set?
I'm ready to go. And you see that burpee is just getting down and getting up. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like he's leaving me to do 5. Doc, I'll just have you point that at me. You can see. Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
He's winded.
Yeah.
He's okay because I'm not CPR trained. All right, here I go with my 5. And the competition is May 7th, Sunday. I believe it starts at 11 a.m. And it will go as long as we have teams and heats. Was that 5?
I believe so.
There's 5.
You got it.
Yeah, we edited so we could catch our breaths.
And I want you to know that we only waited 1 minute to catch our breath. It has not been 30 minutes, and we're doing great, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't bad.
No. Burpees are awesome. A great way to work out, and this is a great test for you and a partner.
You know, and that was just about 5% of doing the total thing.
Look at this guy and his math.
Yeah.
So, great event. We're glad to be partnered with you guys. Anything else you want people to know about colon cancer or screening or anything else?
Yeah, just keep in mind how important it is. Don't be afraid of it. Choose the test that works best for you. Most commonly that'll be colonoscopy, but there are all alternatives. And as far as the prep goes, just be aware you can ask whoever is doing your scope, ask them about alternatives. If you don't have to drink the gallon jug, there are other things that everyone should know about. And ask questions.
Perfect. And do it before you feel the symptoms.
Absolutely. Yeah. Screening means no symptoms. Screening means you do it because you reached age 45, or at this point age 45 or 10 years before the earliest person in your family that may have had colon cancer. Completely
preventable with testing. Great event to come out and support, because then we can support you guys with all the information you put out to the people in Nebraska. So,
and we could add, if you want. I was going to say there's a few things that the family history is important. That increases the risk if you know the age. The other things, if you have a history of inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's disease, then it's a whole different picture as far as what you need for being screened. So people who have other issues need to, again, talk to their doctor and see what's going to be best for them. Okay.
Get out there and talk to your doc. Get out there and register for Rhonda's Team Burpee Challenge. Dr. Allen, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for letting me come into your kitchen.
Thanks for doing the burpees. I couldn't have done 10.
He's lying. He could have done 212 today on his own, because I'm not doing that many. We want to see you there. Thanks for joining us. I know this is a little longer interview for this, but it's probably the most important one. We'll see you at the burpee competition.